Okay, in this video, I'm going to show you guys everything that you are going to need to get started pouring silver or other metals at home. First, let's get the personal protection gear out of the way. I recommend always having some type of eye protection. In most cases, I'm just going to wear some safety glasses similar to that. If I'm worried about splashing or anything, I'm going to wear like a full face mask like that there. But that's going to be on relatively rare occasions. I recommend having some type of a mask that you can put reusable filters in, similar to this one here. It just takes these reusable filters, or disposable filters, I should say. I recommend having gloves to wear. Something simple like work gloves will work just fine. I do have a pair of kind of like welder's gloves. They're not completely necessary, but again, I think the level of protection is going to be up to the person, that's doing the pouring. So whether you're going with, kind of a smaller work glove or a much larger welding glove, is up to you. But depends on, for me, if I'm just pouring out of a crucible, I'll probably have some simple work gloves on. If I'm going to be pouring something larger out of the furnace, I'm probably going to throw on the welding gloves, for example. I recommend wearing jeans, again, if you're going to be pouring out of your furnace, just so you don't get any splash directly on your skin. I don't wear an apron or anything like that, but of course that is something that you can add if you'd like that extra layer of protection. All right, now that we have the personal equipment out of the way, let's move on to all the equipment that you're going to need in order to pour silver. First off, let's start with the furnace. If you plan on pouring larger pieces, anything that is over 5 ounces, I would say, you're probably going to want to use the furnace here. With the furnace, you can order these online, Amazon, eBay. I use this electric one just because I can store it easily. It stays relatively clean. I don't need to buy other gas for it, and it gets the job done for larger pours. I haven't used this one in quite some time. It's just been sitting under my workbench here. But if you go with the furnace method, you'll have to get your furnace, your graphite crucibles will go in there, and that's these here. For example, this is a small one. These, you can't get these real tiny. That's why if you're doing smaller pieces, you're going to want to use a torch and crucible. But this is a larger sized graphite crucible. But ultimately, these will just go in your furnace. You'll close this. It takes a minimum, I would say, of probably something close to 20 minutes for these just to heat up to melting temperature. And then they take roughly like another 20 minutes or so to melt your silver, or whatever it is you're melting in there. So typically these take quite some time to really make a pour. If you're doing a whole bunch of smaller pours, but they don't need to be real accurate, again, you can use your furnace and pour multiple things if you don't need accurate weights, or if they're going into like a double-sided mold, for example. All right. These are typically something that you'd kind of be using with the furnace. So this is just like a large mold for a bar, graphite mold. This could be used for anything, probably, maybe you could make a 3-ounce bar in here, but up to even around 20 ounces you could put into this thing. These graphite molds are much smaller. This is about a 2-ounce mold. This is a 1-ounce mold. These are going to be smaller, 1/2-ounce pours and that sort of thing. Almost impossible to get a good small pour, especially if you're looking at small stuff like this. Almost impossible to get a pour like that, even from these smaller graphite molds that you would put into the furnace here. So mainly if you're going to be maybe making shot or again pouring larger pieces, you're going to want a furnace like this. All right, with the furnace method, you're also going to need something to remove your graphite crucibles with, which I would recommend finding one of these. And again, these are typically going to come with some sort of a set or kit. You can probably get the graphite crucible along with one of these in a kit when you're buying that on Amazon or eBay, for example. All right, if you plan on doing smaller pours, I recommend going probably with like a handheld torch sort of a setup. These are Bernzomatic torches. This one here is a hotter torch. That's a TS8000. This one here, let me see if I can even get a shot of that, but this one is a Bernzomatic, what does that say on there? TS6000, I think it is. I haven't looked at that side in a while, but this one I just use for keeping my molds heated, or if I'm melting something in my crucible, I'll have both torches on that at the same time. But you really just need one handheld torch, in which case I would recommend going with this Bernzomatic TS8000. You're going to want something that you're pouring your silver into. Again, you can use these graphite molds, and very easy, or much easier to pour into these with something smaller like this crucible here. Or you can also go with, like, say, a double-sided mold method. If you want to make a piece that is double-sided, which I'll show you guys an example of, you're going to want to use a double-sided mold like this, or a flask mold, in which case you'll also need Petrobond. So this is like a fine sand, basically, which is called Petrobond. Here's what that looks like here. Again, you can get this on Amazon or eBay. All right, so if you plan on making pieces like this, you will need to use something like this double-sided mold here, where you can take your piece and press this into the Petrobond, and that's what you'll need in order to make double-sided pieces like you see here. If you are making single-sided pieces, kind of like, just a skull like this, where the back side, it has no detail or anything, it's just the back of your pour, that's where you're just using like these graphite molds. They do make double-sided graphite molds. I do not recommend them. They typically do not work very well. They also don't last very long. These do break down. They'll start to lose detail. So I recommend staying away from those. I have used them in the past, didn't care for it. I think you get much better results with the double-sided mold or flask mold like this, and the Petrobond. All right, if you're doing the double-sided mold, another thing that you're going to want or need is some sort of powder that will prevent your two molds from sticking to each other when you put them together. This Gold Bond works great. That's really all you need. You can use the current modern day Gold Bond. Back in the day, it used to just be talcum powder, but this newer Gold Bond that does not have any talcum in it will work just fine. The other thing that you're going to need is something to kind of clamp or hold these together. They do connect like this, but you really need something that's clamping them or holding them together once you have that standing, and that would be something similar to these. I just use these. You can buy these at like any hardware place, probably Walmart, that sort of thing. All right, so with the crucible, you can get these on Amazon, eBay. A lot of times you'll find kits that comes with a number of things that you'll end up needing, but if you do the graphite, the ceramic crucible, you will also need to glaze that or prep that with borax. So you'll be needing some borax. You'll also be needing your silver or gold or whatever it is that you plan to melt. Here I just have some silver shot, so I do recommend getting whatever it is that you plan to pour in a shot form like this. It just makes it much simpler to pour and weigh out exactly what you want. You can get this on some certain websites like AppMax, JM Bullion. Facebook groups can be a good place also to find and buy silver shot. And that brings me to our silver giveaway video. If you guys didn't see that already, go check it out. If you want to be eligible to win one of these little vials of silver shot, or this 90% silver Morgan dollar that I poured in the previous video, go watch my silver giveaway video. It has all the instructions in there, very simple and easy. With the torch method, you're also going to need just an area to melt your silver, melt your gold. I just have this on a workbench here, as you can see, with really just 2 pieces of wood on here. This top one's not even necessary, but I have that on here just so I can have my vice grip on here, holding my other hand torch. But really, you just need something about this thick as far as concrete or brick goes. This is just something you can get, again, from somewhere like Home Depot or Lowe's. But that's all I'm using here. It's enough to absorb your heat and not have any real issues with your underlying, wood or table or whatever it is you might have your setup on. All right, so some of the final things you'll be needing is a hammer, and that is really mostly just going to be used to stamp. So you'll also be needing some stamps. This is just like a 9/9 fine stamp here. There you go. And then if you want, which you don't need, you can have a stamp with your signature on it. Most people, if you're going to be selling your stuff, would want to see something like that. And they have a whole variety of stamps. Here you can kind of just see if you want all the letters. They have all the letters, some other designs and that sort of thing. So you'll be needing stamps for your fineness or purity, and then a signature stamp if you want something that's designed specifically for yourself. All right, from the furnace method to the handheld torch method, that's basically everything that you are going to need equipment-wise in order to get started pouring your silver or gold or other precious metals at home. We didn't exactly cover every single in and out, but really those are, again, all the basics you'll need to get started. Here you can see I have a tumbler. That is something that you can use to polish up your pieces once they're done, but it's certainly not a necessity to get started. All right, if anybody has any questions, please feel free to put them in the comments below, and I'll do my best to get back to you as soon as possible. But hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. Thanks for watching.